What's going on, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. This is Web Dev Journey, and today we're going to be talking about the solution to our caching problems. Yes, we're gonna actually finish the caching solution today in this video because I have time. And just to let you know, this is going to be a long video. I'm not even going to lie, this is going to be a long video. Caching is not a simple thing, and we need to figure out some problems. We already have some problems since the last video, and we are going to be talking about that. But caching is not a simple solution where you can just cache whatever. There's a lot of things that goes into it, right? So anyways, the problems that we're having in the last video, or the three big problems that we have right now that we need to solve is, first of all, and this is quite my part, this is not reusable, right? This code for caching is not reusable. We would have to copy and paste, which is a pain in the rear to do. So we got to figure out a better way to do that. That's one problem. The second problem is naming conventions. All right. So right now, if I go to profile, if I refresh this, oh my God, refresh this. Let's go to our Redis. This is Redis Commander. You've seen this before, right? If I refresh this right now, you're going to see that this naming convention is user ID, but this user ID key only gives us the tweets created for this user ID. Now, let's say that we wanted to save a all the liked tweets that this user liked, right? So what we would have to do is create another key and call it something else, because we already used the key value pair. I mean the user ID as a key. We would have to name it something else. So yeah, it's going to be troublesome right there and then, right? Creating multiple keys for the same user but for different scenarios, for like tweets, for tweets created, for followers and stuff like that, right? That's just a pain in the ass. So we got to figure out a better way to do that. Now that's the big problem number 2. The big problem number 3 is we need to clear our cache when we tweet something. So right now, if I refresh the page, everything seems okay, but let's try to tweet something. This is after cache. I'm gonna say v1 for right now. We submit this. So we just submitted it, right? So we know that works. We could actually make sure it works if we go to our MongoDB, refresh, go to tweets, and the very last one, it should be, there it is. So we actually have a tweet right there. If I refresh the page, you're not going to see that tweet right here. And the reason why is because our code, we specifically told Redis, or we specifically said that, hey, if there is something cached, return that cache, which is correct. That's exactly what it's doing, right? It's returning the cache that we had previously. And that cache did not have our newly added tweet, which is a big problem. So we got to figure out a way to actually clear our cache once we tweet something, right? So those are our 3 biggest problems that we have to solve. Obviously, there are minor problems as well, but dealing with the bigger problems is going to solve a lot of the minor problems as well. So that's why we're dealing with the 3 big problems for right now. So let's actually talk about how we're going to be dealing with this, right? And then we're going to start coding up the actual solution. For the first problem, which is the reusability of the code. This is going to be a long explanation, right? So how are we going to be caching things that need to be queried out? As you can see, we're actually grabbing, or right here, our user tweets. We actually use Mongoose to get all the tweets, and then we actually cache those tweets given back to us by MongoDB. How are we going to solve that solution where we're not going to have to use our services to actually grab the things that we want to and then store it in there? How do we do that? That's you're asking yourself, like, dude, that's the only way we actually grab the data, using this user service to get all the tweets and then giving it to Redis, right? That sounds insane what you're talking about. There's actually a way. And like I said, if you do read the docs, or you played around with MongoDB a lot, or you watch other YouTubers or other videos, there's like you'll catch on of you'll catch on little things that they do that could probably help you. Now, I've done this in the past, right? And I think I've done it here as well. Let me see. Let me actually try to find one if I did, which I don't think I did. All right. But you see me use this method quite a bit. And this is the .exec, right? Execute. No, not execute. Populate, just execute. You've seen me use this before, right? Basically, what this is literally a callback. Yeah, it's a callback where we get an error or data back, right? And let me actually wrap this around like that. And obviously there's a callback. So what we're going to do right here is do a return. Instead of doing a return on this, what we would do is return our data instead, just like that. And this is not going to break anything. So if we go back to our page and refresh the page, you can see that everything still works. Everything still works, but this exec right here, this is the way we're actually going to be solving that little issue of ours, right? We could actually modify this execute method that Mongoose gives us. Well, okay, right there. We could actually modify that execute method that Mongoose gives us to work in our benefit. Now, if you did not know, there are multiple ways to execute a query in Mongoose. First of all, you already know this is one way of doing it without even calling execute. The next way is, actually calling execute like this, and this will actually, you don't even have to, there you go, the callback. You don't even have to add the callback if you don't want to. This will literally just return the data that execute gives back. But there's also other ways. I'm not even going to explain those. But the thing is, in the background, if you do use it like this, which I know most of you do use it just like this, in the background, execute is actually being called. Execute is always being called when you actually execute a query. It's always being called. So no matter what you do, if you leave it like this or you call it in another way, if you add filters to it, or not filters, yeah, filters, right? Like where age is bigger than 30, sort from least to greatest and all that stuff. Those are filters. I think that's the term used for that, right? Anyways, all that stuff, when you at the end, once that query runs, it's calling execute to actually run that query. And we're going to be modifying that execute method so that way it works in our favor. So basically, in every query that we get, we're going to be, doing something with that execute method. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a bit. So that's one way, that's to solve the one problem. The first big problem. The second one was the naming convention. All right. So for the naming convention, Redis, god damn it, why do I always do that? Redis does gives us a way to actually fix this. And I'm actually going to be drawing it because it's much more simpler if I just do it right now. So right now what we have is literally a key value pair, right? Like that, key value, right? Where the key is 1 and the value is red. It doesn't really matter. This is what we have right now. And we want to change this. What we want, or what I want, or what I'm suggesting is we have a key of 1, let's say that, and we're going to get a value back as a nested key value pair. So within this value, we have another key and value pair, right? Damn it. A value pair where this was going to get the key is going to be get all, which is going to retrieve all tweets for this user, right? For this user, another key could be like get liked or something, right? Liked, which is going to get all tweets liked, right? And then another key could be followers, get followers. You get my point, right? This is a much better solution to what we have right now, because with this one, we would have to create multiple keys, like I said, and this is just for one user, and you can see how hectic that would look like. This is much more better looking and also a better solution to what we're trying to solve, which is multiple datas or multiple caching datas for this specific user. All right, so that's how we're going to be solving this. And the method to actually do this, right now, the method to grab this right here, this actually uses get and set. The method get and set. This method actually uses the hget and the hset, which is going to give us nested this right here, what we could do right here, right? Anyways, that's the solution that we're going to be using. Now, finally, how are we going to clear the cache once the tweet was added, right? And that all goes back to the X method. This all goes back to that. So problems 1 and 3, it goes back to this one thing right here. And you'll figure out exactly what we're going to be doing, okay? So let's get started coding, because I did a lot of talking. So let's just start, let's just start coding, all right? I'm trying to clean up my workspace. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is inside of lib, I'm going to create a new file called cache. Cache.js. Okay. And in here, we're going to need a few things. This is going to be where our caching system lives. Sorry about that. I had to step out for a bit. Where were we? Cache.js const. Okay, so there are going to be a few things we're going to need to add here. And it's like I said, since we're going to be modifying that execute method that Mongoose gives us, we're going to need Mongoose, obviously. So Mongoose is going to equal require Mongoose. There we go. Next up, we still need that util. So util is going to equal require util. Oops. Make sure to wrap that in quotes. All right. And next up, also, we're going to need our config, because our client, our Redis client, lives in that config. So we need to grab that. So what I'm going to do is just copy this code right here inside of the bin run, and just copy that and paste it right there. Okay, there's still a few more things that we need to do, right? So our const client, we need to grab that from config.database, that config.database.redis.client. And also we need to make client we need to grab that that set and make it a promise, so that way we could use promise things to it, or a way to sync, just like we did last time. But instead of using the client.set or client.get, we're going to use that other method that I just showed you, the hget, right? So that way we could have nested hashes. So client.hget, and I'm going to say async. We're going to set that equal to util.promisefy client.hget. Now we have that promisified, so that way we could use promises. Now, this part is going to be a little bit confusing, but we need to copy that the execute method right off the bat, because remember, the execute method contains all of the things that we're trying to query for. So if you add filters, oh, hold on, I'm back. So anyways, like I was saying, we want to make a copy of that executable method, because that method has everything attached to it, and we don't want to modify the original what we've been doing, right? When they send in that query, we don't want to modify that query whatsoever. So we're going to be making a copy of it. So const ex ec is going to equal, and that executable method lives in Mongoose, obviously, mongoose.query.prototype.exec, just like that. So now we made a copy of our exec method, which contains everything that we need. And now we could actually modify it. Since we already have the original right here, we could modify it now the way we want to. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this right here, copy that, paste it right there, and we're going to use async, because this is going to be an async. We're going to make it a async function. We're just modifying it. It's exactly the same thing, but we're going to be modifying it. Now, this is going to, whatever we put in here is going to happen every single time the execute happens. The execute method happens, right? Which is basically every query that we do. So that way you get a better understanding. We could do a console.log, and I'm going to just say modify exec, just like that. Control save. Wait, did we save this? Okay, there it is. Control save this. Now we do need to use the cache.js, and since it's going to be an ongoing thing where we always need it, I'm gonna be actually using that inside the bin and the run, right? And we're going to be including it right before or after our client. Since our cache is going to be using our client, we need our Redis client. We need the Redis client to be defined, and then use that file. So what I'm going to just do is just require, and that lives in lib/cache, just like so. All right, control save. All right, now let's see what's going on. Let's see what is going on for right now, right? So let's actually open up this and check this out. If I go to profile page, ooh, something happened. Oh, nothing happened. Sorry, nothing happened. But look at this. Check this out. Modify exec, which is right here, which is what we wanted, right? Which is pretty cool. Now, to get rid of this error, what I'm going to do is literally, I'm going to return exec, the original exec up here. We're going to return that, and we're going to just do it .apply. This, now this is the keyword this is referring to the keyword or the query that was passed in. So don't worry, we'll talk about that in arguments. Control save that for right now, and let's get going. Refresh the page, and there you go. You see that? We got rid of that error, but the most important thing is that modify exec happened before the query was actually what's it called? Executed, which is what we want. Now you know. Now you're kind of getting like, okay, I know where this is going, right? Now we could actually implement our caching solution right here before the query actually happens, right? Obviously, if the query happens, that means that we're trying to get it from MongoDB. This query right here, right? Because this is a query for MongoDB. So if this happens, that means that we still haven't cached our data. If this does not happen, then obviously it's cached. So now we just need to create some logic around this and then go from there, right? Now, there are a few more things that I want to do. So to make it easier for you guys, remember, this is a solution to make caching easier on where you want to actually cache. And my method, or the way I'm thinking, is what if we do, instead of right here, yeah. What if right here I do a .cache, or do a .cache right there. And by doing this, we would know which query, this query, for example, this should be cached, right? It makes it so much easier for us instead of trying to figure out, okay, what query is going to be coming in, that kind of stuff. So this right here would be super easier, or so much easier on us. So that's what we're going to try, or we are going to implement, obviously, guys. I'm not going to just leave you hanging. In order to do this, though, we are going to, over here in our cache.js, we are going to need to add a prototype. I hope you understand what prototypes is. We're going to need to add a prototype to this query right here, right? So it's going to be the exact same thing right here. Copy this prototype, just like so. Oops. But instead of exec, what I'm going to do is cache. Now, what we're doing right here is just attaching a cache method, like we did over here. It's just a cache method to this query object, right? And that's going to be passed down to this query object, which is going to be using the exec method. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. But for right now, if they do have that cache method attached to the query, what we want to do is I'm gonna just use this dot use cache. We're gonna set that equal to true for right now, like that. Okay. Now, what am I talking about when I say this? All right, so let's go down here, and instead of console logging modify exec, I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm going to put a space. We could actually grab the query that's actually coming in from whatever it's being called. So to do that, we need to call this. Remember, this is referring to the query that was passed in. This dot get query. Now, this dot get query is going to give us the query that we're trying to execute, right? So if I go back to my browser, refresh this, check this out. Right there, modify exec, and then this is the query that we're trying to do, which is the ID of that. Now, if we go check right here, or sorry about that, that's exactly what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to find a user by the ID of user ID. Now, you might be saying, okay, how does this know what model this is? This could be for any model. Now, we could actually figure that out as well. If you go back over here, I'm gonna actually add another comma. We could actually grab the name of the collection we're using by doing this dot mongoose collection dot name. Did I spell collection right? No. Collection dot name. Now, okay, now that we do that, refresh the page, you're going to see that, hey, we're trying to grab this from the user's model, as you can see right there, which is correct. We're trying to find the ID of this from users, which is exactly what we're doing. But where is this coming in? I don't even see this. Well, the thing is, we haven't even saved this. Let's try to save that right now. And then down here, we're going to, well, where is it at? Cache. Right here, we're going to add another one. Another comma, and we're going to do this dot use cache. Let's see what that is. Okay, control save. Now let's go back, refresh the page, and you're going to see that, whoa, it's undefined. What? Hold on. Right, I forgot. In order to actually use that, we do need to return this, so that way the next method, or the next the next method has references to whatever was whatever is being used in this prototype or this query, right? So since we added this dot use cache equal to true to this query, we need to return this, which contains use cache, and down here we're going to actually see that now. Now let's actually go over here and refresh the page, and you're gonna see that, oh my god, it's still not working, dude. I'm this close of just dropping. Okay, I think I know what's going on. In our index, we do need to clean this up right here. So what we need to do is just revert this back to what it was beforehand, and basically, let me actually grab it from GitHub. Hold on. Okay, I grabbed it, so let me just grab this, paste that. Okay, this is the code that we used to have before we added the cache. So control save this right now. And the reason why we did that is because we were actually modifying the the Redis, so we can't have that for right now. So anyways, if you go back to and then refresh, hopefully there it is, true. Now remember, this is actually running quite a bit of what's it called, queries. Remember our user for one, trying to grab our user, and then user tweets right here is another one. And then I think that, yeah, it's trying to grab two, right? Since we're always trying to grab the user, and then our user tweets. And then we get our true right here. So this query, we're basically saying that we want to cache this query right here, which is a good thing, which we know that this dot use cache actually works, okay? So what we could do instead of this is say that, hey, let's do an if statement right off the bat and say that, hey, if there is no this dot use cache, right? Or just use cache. What we want to do is we want to just run the query, the original query that they had. So if we don't have this dot cache, which means that we want to cache it, if we don't have this dot cache right here, that means that we just want to run that query however it came in as, right? We don't want to modify it. We don't want to do anything with that. Just run it as is and just give me the data back. And that's it. And that's what we told it right here. If there is no cache method attached to the cache query or the query, then just run the query as is. So that got rid of that use case scenario. Now it's actually time to save a cache to Redis if they want to cache those tweets, right? And this is another way to, this is going to be a little bit confusing. Now remember, in our drawing, let me actually draw it again, so that way you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so in our drawing, the way we're doing it, which is with hget and hset, we have a key, right, and a value, right? Key and value. And let's say the key is 1 and our value is going to be another key and value, right? Our nested key value pair. Now, like I said, we do need naming conventions for this. So for a key, for an example, the key for the nested value, this right here, what I'm thinking, this key right here is always going to be the user ID, which makes sense, right? Every user ID is going to have the first key is going to be the primary key for user ID. So that way we could actually grab the user that we want and then try to find out if they have get all tweets with the current data with all tweets, right? Data, whatever. And then get all liked tweets, right? And then with the all liked data. So this is what we're trying to do right here, this naming convention. So we already have naming convention for this, for the first key, right? Which is for our the parent key, which is going to always be the user ID. Within that, the nested key value, this is where we need the naming conventions, right? Now, this is going, like I said, this is going to be a solution for future references, for future projects if you want to. So this key might not always be the same. You might actually want to pass in your own key right here. And that's what we need to do. We're going to make it in a way where we could pass in the parent key, whatever we want the parent key. Maybe you don't want the parent key to be user ID. You want it to be something else. We're going to make it in a way where you could pass in what this key should be and what this key should be named. All right. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, in order to do that, and it's quite simple actually. Okay. In order to do that, all we need to do is inside of our user service in this cache, what we could do is actually pass in, an object, right? And we could say the key for this one is going, which is the parent key, right? The key for this one is going to always be the user ID, the one we passed in, right here. And then let's say that we want a nested key as well. Well, we could say nested hash key. We want this to be, I'm going to just say all tweets. Since this is a method to get all tweets, I'm going to just say all tweets. Copy this, paste that right there, lowercase a, and all tweets. So now our high key, our parent key, is going to be the user ID, and then our nested key is going to be all tweets with the value of whatever we're going to pass it in with, right? So this is a way we're going to be running with. So how do we get that? How do we get this object inside of the cache.js? Well, it's simple, right? Since this is a function, we passed in an options. We're going to make options. We're going to set that equal to the, if there is no options passed in, we're going to just set it to a empty object. But we have options now. We have an option. Since we passed in options, we're going to have an options keyword right there. And now over here, what I'm going to do is say this, attach those options to the query, so that way the next query or the next the executable prototype query is going to have access to the options listed above. So I'm gonna say this dot hash key hash key, and we're gonna set this equal to the. Now remember, we need to stringify everything just to make double sure that we're actually. We're making it a string, so I'm gonna say JSON dot stringify, and we're going to grab the options dot key. This is our parent key, remember? Now, if they didn't pass that, what I'm gonna do is set it as an empty string, just in case, right? Now another one is going to be this dot nested hash key. I'm going to set that equal to, and again, it's going to be a JSON, and I'm just copy this. JSON stringify options dot, let me actually grab it so that way I don't misspell it, right? Nested hash key. Control save this. Now we could use the hash key and nested hash key to grab and save data to our Redis client, to our Redis database, right? So what I'm going to do is try to grab the cache value if they have cache value. So const is going to be the same thing as the last video. Const cache value. We're going to set that equal to await client dot get or hget. Remember, we're using hget now. Hget async, and we need to pass two things. We need to pass in the parent value or the parent key, which is this dot hash key. Yeah, hash key. And then we also need to pass in what we want from that nested hash, which is this dot nested hash key. Now, if we have something in the nested hash key, it's going to save it in the cache value. Remember, that's the value that this nested hash key has. Now we could say if we do have a cache value. If we have cache value, what we want to do is I'm gonna log out cached values, so that way we know that we could grab our cached values, and we're going to simply not make another const. We're going to simply return JSON. Oh no. JSON dot parse. Remember, we have to parse the cached value that we have, and that's basically it. That's it, right? Now this is assuming that we actually do have a cache value. What if we don't have a cache value? You should already know. We should grab const result. We're going to set that equal to await, and we're going to await the execute apply. Remember, we're going to try to run this, the original query, meaning we're going to execute the original query that they sent in. That's going to be saved in result. Now what we need to do is set client.hset, and we need to save that result into this to Redis. And the way we do this is we need to pass in the parent key, which is this dot hash key. The second thing is the nested key value, or the nested key. So this dot nested cache key. And then lastly, we want to pass in the result. And remember, we do need to stringify this. So json.stringify result. Now, we are going to add two more things. I want this to expire after so many seconds, just in case. Remember, just in case. So ex, and you don't have to add this. Matter of fact, you don't have to add this. So let's not add it. But if you do want to add an expiration, like I said, you don't have to, but let's say you do want to. The way you would do that is add ex as capitalized, right? And then comma. This stands for expire. And then how many seconds do you want it to expire by? And this is literally seconds, so this would be 10 seconds, okay? And that's how you would add an expiration. But for right now, let's not do that because we're not going to need it probably, right? And lastly, what we want to do is return our result. Now, we could actually make sure this actually works, okay? We did a lot of code right here, and we need to make sure this works. So let's go back to our terminal, go to Redis client, get rid of everything that we have so far, which is that. All right, now let's actually try to do this, right? We already have a cache. We want to cache get all tweets for every user, and our key, our parent key, is going to be the user ID, and our nested hash key is going to be all tweets, right? Let's see if it works. I'm actually praying that it works. Let's refresh this, please, for the love of God. Let's go to Redis, refresh this. Oh, Look at this. We have a hash key right here. And look at this. Our key is all tweets. Our nested key is all tweets. And our value for that nested key is our actual tweets. Now, let's actually refresh this. And we should have a console.log, remember, of cached values down here. So if I refresh this, cached values. Yes, we actually grabbed our cached values, which is a good sign. Whew. So everything is working as expected, and this is just to cache our values. We still haven't even tackled on how to delete our our cached values and then reset them after someone posts something. Because as I said, right now this is after cache v1. If I try to tweet something, this is after cache v2, right? Let's try to post this. Submit this. If I try to refresh right now, we have our cache values again, but we don't see that v2. So we're going to tackle this problem now. Okay, so we tackled the problem of, let's actually try to recap just a quick second. We tackled the problem of naming conventions. Now you can name it however you want, and the parent key, how I made it in a way which makes sense to me, is always going to be the user ID. And then whatever you want as a nested cache keys is going to be whatever you name it as, okay? Whatever, right? So we got it. We got that solved. We also got it where it's reusable. Our code is actually reusable by using this cache method attached to the query. We actually have that. That's good, right? It's reusable now. The last thing we need to solve is clearing the cache and then adding the new cache once a user posts a new tweet. So that's what we're going to be tackling right now. And actually, guys, it's a very simple solution. I'm not even going to lie. So what I'm going to do is down below, we're going to actually exports. We're going to export an object. Maybe I'm doing an object for right now because maybe later on you're going to want to export multiple functions. And we're going to export a function. We're going to call this clear cache. And we're going to pass in the hash key. Now this is the parent hash key, okay? So basically the user ID, we're going to be passing in the user ID, and what we're going to be doing is client, no, not client information, client.del, which is going to be deleting. We need to delete the JSON, make this JSON.stringify, remember that, stringify, the hash key, which is our user ID, right? And that's basically it right there, right? This is basically it. We're just deleting everything that happens to deal with the parent cached value. So basically, let me go back to my, right here. We're passing this hash key and it's going to delete everything inside of this user ID, which is all this stuff, right? So that's what we have right now. And to use that function, which is very simple, is, oh, what happened here? What? Why no? Dude, I put this in the wrong spot. Are you serious? I'm sorry, guys. That should have been in cache. Down here in cache, we're going to export this function. All right, there we go. Now, to use that, obviously, you would have to, like, let's say you wanted to clear the cache. Where is it at? Right here. This is where you want to clear it, right? Which is in user service. So go to user service, and this is where you want to clear it. So what you would do is go in here, try to add the, what's it called? Why do I have this? Oh yeah, that's right. Wait, why do we have this? Why do we have this? I don't know. Anyway, what you would want to do is grab that function from the libcache.js and then just call it down here by saying, where is it at? Right here. By saying clear cache and then passing in the user ID, right? So rec.userid, which you could do this. You could absolutely do this, but I actually want to make this function a middleware where we could literally just put it as a middleware and it's going to take care of that by itself, and we don't have to worry about anything no more. Just call it as a middleware and it'll be done, right? And that's what I want to do. Now, if you want to just leave it like this, you could absolutely You could absolutely do that if you wanted to, but I'm gonna make it a middleware, okay? So what I'm gonna do is inside of server, I'm actually going to create a new folder called middleware. And inside this middleware, we're going to create a new file called clear cache.js. And in here, we're going to grab that function. So const, what did I name it again? Where's our cache? Clear cache. Oof. We're going to grab clear cache, and we're going to set that equal to require. Where is it at? In lib / no cache. Just like that. And down here, module exports. You already know how to do in the middleware. I'm not even going to explain. We need to have, it's going to equal async. We need to have the rec res next. And right there and then. Now again, this part is going to be somewhat tricky. And the reason why is because we want to actually clear cache after they create a new tweet. Okay? We want to do that afterwards. If we do that before and the tweet goes bad, something went wrong with the tweet, well, we clear their cache and we don't have a new tweet. So we want to do it after they actually successfully created a new tweet. And inside our user service, it's right here, right? Add tweet. And in index, it's tweets or tweet right here. This tweet, right? And like I said, if you wanted to do it the old way, you would have to call it down here. You would absolutely have to call it down here. The reason why is because, well, we're creating it right here, right? We're actually creating it, and then we want to clear the cache. And then once they hit that route of, what is it? What is that dumb route? The profile route. There you go. The profile route is going to, call the profile route, which is all the tweets, and this is where we cache it again. So yes, you would have to do it down here. Now, this is going to be a bit of a problem if we're doing a middleware, because we all know that if we call a middleware, the middleware is going to run first, and then the route handler, which is this, right? Which is not what we want to do. We actually want the route handler to run first, and then the middleware. Now, it's actually pretty simple to solve. What you need to do right here is actually just say await next. And this next is actually going to be called from the route handler, right? So once this returns res.json, it actually automatically calls next, which we're waiting right here. We're waiting for a next to be called. And then once that happens, what we want to do is I'm going to console log clear cache. So that way we know this happened, clear cache, right? We actually want that to happen. And then we want to call clear cache with the rec.user._id. Now remember, this has access to the rec because we're using it as a middleware to our route right here, right? And actually this where is it at? This clear cache might be this clear cache file might be a little bit confusing since we already have a clear cache function. So I'm gonna just rename it to be gone cache. I don't know, man. I don't know. Be gone cache. I like it. And there you go. So now we need to actually have this run or call this middleware inside of our where is it at? Index.js, and where we want to call it. We want to call it every time a tweet is posted, which is right here. So all you have to do is, first of all, we do need to add in that file. So const paste be gone cache is going to equal require. And where is it at? Out one more, middleware / be gone cache. All right, now down here, call it. Just like so, and now this should actually work, okay? And we're going to recap everything that we did, so stay tuned if you're still confused, because we are going to recap and it's going to be a better explanation. All right, so now let's try it out. Let's go to over here. All right, we still have that v2 issue where it's not being shown. So if I try to refresh right now, it's not going to show because we haven't created a new tweet. So let's actually create a new tweet. And this is going to be, be gone cache v3. All right, so let's submit this. And you can see right there, it actually cleared cache. So if I refresh this, we should have a new set of cache. And we do. Check this out. This is after cache 1. Here's our v2 and here's our v3. Now notice that it does not say from cached value. That's because we still haven't even cached this. Now it's cached, but if I refresh right now, cached values right there. Look at that. Isn't that super amazing? That's pretty cool, right? That is absolutely fantastic. That's what we wanted. Trust me, guys, it was a pain to get here this far. Okay. So anyways, that's actually working the way we want it to. Don't worry. We are going to fix the issue once we tweet something like this, right? And we submit it. It should be showing up automatically. That's a front end problem, not a back end problem. Now, if we refresh, look at that, clear cache, we refresh, and look at that, we have it, which is pretty cool. Refresh again, cached values. You can do it as many times as you want. You're always going to get those cached values, which is pretty cool, right? So let me actually recap what's happening and why we did it the way we did it, okay? Now remember, guys, this function or this method or this caching solution was purposely for making it reusable on wherever you want to. Whatever project you want to and whatever, just whatever project and whatever routes you want to actually cache, right? That's the first problem that we were having. We needed to make it reusable for anything. Second problem we were having is the naming convention, because like I said, we need naming conventions for everything that we do, for everything that we cache for a certain user ID. For a certain user, we need to have a naming convention for that. And we fixed that by you guys actually doing it yourselves. The third problem was clearing the cache once a user added a tweet. So that way we could actually grab the newest tweet and cache the newest tweet plus all the other tweets that we have, right? And let's go over the code. All right, so let's actually go to cache and then be gone cache. And what do we need from here? Okay. So our cache. This is our cache.js, which has included everything that we needed, first of all, for our cache to work, which was Mongoose, our client, our Redis client, and actually using this new method hget from Redis. So that way we have nested key value pairs. All right. This execute method. Why are we doing this? Well, the reason why we need to do this execute method is because once you hit that query, once a query right here, this is a query. Once this query hits the execute method, we don't want to modify the original execute method. We do not want to modify the original query that the user sent in. Not whatsoever. We don't want to modify it whatsoever. So we needed to make a copy, and we did that right here. Okay. Now, what we needed to do, let's go down here, is actually modify the execute method so that way we could use it in our terms, basically for caching, right? So that's what we did. But before we even try to do that, what we need to do is tackle the naming convention. And we do that by adding another method to the query, which is the cache method, which you can see right here, the cache method. If they use this cache method, which is .cache, if they use that in the query, that means that they do want to cache that method, or they want to cache the data that's going to be retrieved from that query. And we actually added options in here as well. So that way the naming convention, like I said, you could do your own naming convention. For our high order, or for our parent key, we want it to always be the user ID, which is what I prefer anyways. You could do it whatever you want. And for our nested hash key is all tweets. And let me show you before we move on what that means. Let's go back over here. So this is the parent key that I'm talking about, which is a user ID. If you click into this, we get all these fields and values, all tweets and the value, right? That's it. Now, let's go back to cache.js, and we're actually adding those to the query by doing this.useCache and setting this up. and then returning the this keyword. So that way the next thing that's going to be using it, which is the exec, this is the last thing that happens, remember? This is the very last thing that happens. So now that this is happening, this happened first, now this is happening, this actually has access to the use cache, the hash key, and nested hash key, right? So basically in here, what we said is, hey, if there is no use cache, basically what that means is if they don't have this .cache method attached to the query, well, they don't want that query to be cached. So simply, we're going to just return the original exec, what we had. Remember what we copied, which is the original. We're going to be returning the original query that they wanted, the data that they wanted, right? That is it. Now, if they do have it, we do need to figure out if they have cache values already in Redis. So what we did was create a const cache value. We're going to set that to await. Get the value by giving it the key, the parent key, which is what you need, right? It's going to get the parent key, look at the parent key, and then look at the nested key, the nested hash key that you sent. So we need to give it the hash key, the parent key, and then the nested hash key, and that will get the information that you want. So if there is cache value, what we want to do is just return the cached value, right? If there isn't any, well, what we need to do is we need to execute the original, like I said, the original query that they wanted and grab the data from that, and that's stored in results. And then what we need to do is save that result into the Redis. So we do that by doing client.hset, the parent key, the hash key, and then the data that hash key should have. And then we just return the result that we had previously, which is the original query, right? That is it, right? That is absolutely it. This tackled the problem of making it reusability. Now let's talk about how to clear the cache, which was the last thing. And that was pretty simple, as you saw. We literally just exported a method called clear cache, passing in the hash key, which is a parent key. And all you need to do to clear that out, or just delete everything, is literally call client.del the parent ID, which is the hash key, right? That's it. That's the method that you use to clear everything out for Redis. Now, how we used it is a little bit, we used it as a middleware. As you can see right here, we use it as a middleware. And this needs to be done on the route of posting a tweet, because every time they post a tweet, we need to clear the cache and then recache our newly set of tweets that the user created, right? So this needs to happen after we created a tweet. Like I said, if something went wrong with the tweet, that means that if we left it how it was, we would have cleared the cache and then got an error saying that, hey, we couldn't create a tweet. So now we have no tweet and we also cleared our cache, which is kind of a bad thing. Not really, but kind of, well, I guess you could say, yeah, it is pretty bad, because we did a unnecessary thing, which was clear the cache, since we did not have a post. So we need to do that after the post, after the tweet was added. After the tweet was successful, what we want to do is clear the cache, so that way we could recache that. And the way we did that as a middleware was we did a module export doing the rec res next. That's simple. You should already know how to do that. This is the simple syntax for middlewares. And then what we need to do is actually await the next, when the next is called. And the next is going to be called by when this actually finishes, when the route handler finishes it, right? When that finishes it, when we call res.json, which basically is return, we don't even have to have a return here if you don't want to. It is automatically assumed that it's return. When this returns a json.json, I mean res.json or res.whatever, is going to call next, and that's what we're waiting for right here. Once that next is called, then we want to run our clear cache, that method that we set up over here, clear cache. We want to run that, and which will eventually clear our cache, leaving our cache wiped out. So that way, once they call the profile page again, it's going to recache all the tweets for that user. And that's basically it. This is our caching solution for any project that you want to do. This is actually reusable for any project that you want to do. It really is, guys. Now, if you have any little methods or any little tweaks that you want to add, hey, leave a comment down below. Let me know, so that way we could try to do that, incorporate that as well. That'll be awesome, right? But as far as caching goes, this is a pretty good solution to that, all right? Oh, man, I'm losing my voice. In the next video, we're going to be talking about images. Man, we haven't even done images yet, guys. Whew. And that's going to be a long video as well. We're going to be talking about images, guys. So we're going to be doing that in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. It really means a lot to me. And trust me, guys, this is, like I said, these two little functions, the caching and the images, they're not easy functions to incorporate. They're actually pretty complicated, okay? So I hope you understood what I was talking about. If you didn't, leave a comment down below, so that way I can, make another video and try to talk about it. Draw more diagrams as needed if you need it. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching my videos. I really do appreciate you spending your time watching my videos. It means a lot to me, guys. And also, leave a comment down below on anything that you need help on. Like the video if you liked it, or if you learned something, like the video, and please consider subscribing to my channel. It's going to help me out a lot. So thank you guys for this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.